Welcome to another episode of the Sage Holistic Show. My name is Emily Sellis, and I am your host. Today, we have another episode from the Holistic Healers of Orange County. Ashley Bradley is an intuitive business coach, and she talks all about how to lead with your magic and get connected with the divine feminine in your business.
Sage is a 501c3 nonprofit organization building community by providing education and counseling about physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. We encourage all of our listeners to find their own path to what holistic wellness means to you.
Hi, everybody. I am Ashley Bradley. I'm an intuitive business coach. I work primarily with coaches and healers, and I didn't set out to focus on this aspect of business specifically. It ended up that all of these different coaches and healers and these beautiful hearts that were just leading with their magic in the world were stepping into business and feeling like they had to change everything about themselves, or that their values, couldn't mix with whatever business model or strategy they were working towards. And so I decided as well, I'm kind of like the self-proclaimed leader. I'm claiming things now and just stepping into it, not waiting to write the book. So of the Divine Feminine Business Revolution, it's a thing now. I've decided if you guys want to be a part of it as well. And I've just been having more and more of these conversations, and I feel like this topic is an ever evolving conversation where more pieces just reveal themselves. And even as I was starting to think and outline what I wanted to share with all of you, it made me even think of other parts that I thought the coaches and healers and people in this group would find interesting to think about as they either look at themselves, as they look at things that might be showing up with their clients. I want to say first and foremost, and we'll go deeper into it, the feminine that I'm going to talk about today, it's not just for women, because I know there's men here as well. We're talking about it more in terms of the feminine energy, the masculine energy, the yin yang, the being doing, and how we're all meant to have the balance of two of those parts. And we all are very aware, especially right now, that we live in a very patriarchal culture where we've swung so far into the masculine that even for men, it's feeling like not so great, or that even those other parts of themselves, the intuitive, creative parts, don't always feel like they have a seat at the table. So I just wanted to preface it, since I know we have Ryan and a few others that I've seen as well, JR. First and foremost, I don't know if everyone owns a business or not, but I think this is a topic just in general for leaders. And I see all of you here as leaders, whether anyone reports to you or you have an audience or a social media following, it doesn't even matter. I really see everyone here as having something important to share. All of you are the world changers, the people that have the ideas and the methodologies and are bringing in all of the healing that our world needs so deeply right now. And so I really am just going to speak about this through the lens of us as leaders collectively. And I hope that there's something that you might take from it that maybe brings you into a little bit more balance, that maybe brings you into giving a different part of you a seat at the table today. So I wanted to start there. The part that's new that I didn't think about even adding into this conversation was realizing that as a coach, I always see all the money beliefs coming up. I'm sure even as therapists as well, we have those narratives, the old stories that are picked up by the age of 7, and how that kind of tends to pop up with business. And so what I started to think is what are the beliefs based on what we grew up with, what people talked about women as leaders, or the more feminine qualities, and how that relates to being a leader, being a person in business, being someone doing something that's valuable and can make money at the same time. And I started to think about my own experiences with that. And I actually put it out there to a few groups of women leaders and groups of women business owners just to see what they had to say. And so I'm just going to read a few, and I would love to hear just by nods or maybe a thumbs up if this is one that maybe ever existed in your world. If there's something else that isn't here, since there is so many that rolled in once I like opened up this question, there was so many there that I won't even go through, but maybe drop it in the comments. Maybe just start to reflect on what might exist potentially unconsciously, right? About the way that we have felt about leadership or leadership attributes and what makes somebody successful. So here's a few. Women are too emotional. That's a big one, right? That we shouldn't be making decisions from an emotional place. Another one is that women telling other women like their place is to like, you should be a good mother, like you should just be the person at home that is supporting the family, that's just supporting the man of the household. That is like your role. Like, hello, like mom guilt right there, right? One is that the woman, is too busy, distracted, having a family versus for a male. Oftentimes having a family would be something that would, they'd be more motivated. They would be so much like, more motivated to get the raise, to work really hard to support the family. I've heard that if you're nice, if you're like really empathetic, if you're too caring, that you should totally be an asshole, like, because you need to be very tough. You need to have thick skin in order to be successful in business. And so I see some there. I'll be curious to like go back after this. Okay, I'm seeing feminine energies, a weakness in leadership. Okay, yeah. So I think just wanted to at least like open this up so that we can start to reflect on what are some of those stories that have been told, because even though women are equal, right, in society, we're seeing that all of these things are just still catching up, that we're getting the first woman elected to a major office here in the US. And so we know how much those beliefs are perpetuated and passed on. And so I hope that this is something that first off, we can just bring awareness, since everyone here, I believe, is working with clients in some ways of thinking about what are the little stories, what are the ways that we might see that showing up in their assumptions so that they can make it conscious as well. I want to talk to you guys about the feminine and the masculine aspects in general of how we're seeing business, just to set this up, because I don't know if everyone's seen it through this lens. I'm lucky to like be in a place right now where if we talk about who you're being, that you guys know what I'm talking about, because not every group that you would speak to would know exactly what I meant by that. But if we are going to look at the yin yang, the masculine, feminine, we're seeing the more masculine qualities being like structure and numbers and strategy and things that are often like traditionally things that would drive a business. And then I'm holding the more feminine qualities here being as intuition, creativity, who you're being, right? Like really that part that's like our magic and our essence that's really driving the personality, emotion and expressiveness. This is what I'm holding here as being the more divine feminine. And I put the word divine in there, even though I totally didn't make that part of it up, because I do think that as I start having these conversations, I start to feel that people associate the feminine with what I would call the more wounded feminine, the one that doesn't have boundaries, the one that overgives and isn't really able to receive or charge for her work. And so I'm just putting that divine feminine there to really claim that like, this is a very powerful part of us. And I really want to make that super clear as well. And looking at business with these, what I'm finding with coaches, with healers, with pretty much most of the world that I see is that most people show up, and I showed up in business very much leaning into the strategy, the numbers, what information exists outside of me that I don't yet know, that I have to go find. What do I have to change about myself so that I can fit into this certain model to be successful? And it felt very exhausting. And I'm like, why am I even doing having a business if I have to feel like like it's not fun, like it's not something where I can be myself and show up. And so I've seen this over and over again, where sometimes people start to feel like maybe this isn't my world, maybe this isn't for me, maybe I should just go and work for somebody else, or maybe this is the only way, that this is the only way that it can feel in business. This is the way that everyone feels in business. And so I just hope that looking at it through some of these additional lenses today, that it might bring each of us like a greater sense of balance, because I honestly, like, I tend to swing over in that direction as well. So I don't want to show up here and be like, oh, I just totally have this all perfect and figured out. Like, I have to bring myself back and have practices that keep this all balanced within me, as much as possible, every single day, if possible, because I do think that conditioning and those belief systems do run pretty deep when anything related to money is coming into our lives. Someone saying their body is softening. Listen to this. Great. I love that. I got lucky as well that I got to go after the meditation. That worked out really perfectly. So let's look at a few specific parts of business and how we might find greater balance. So sales and finding clients, really, really big one. So if we were to be on the overly masculinized side of things, it is numbers. It is how many people do you reach out to? You need to reach out to this number of people a day. It's the hard sale. And that is the thing, I think, that people's skin kind of starts to crawl, like feeling like they have to reach out to people kind of cold, or almost like force someone to read their sales posts. And I think some of you might even notice in your bodies some of that discomfort that comes up of feeling that way before in business or in career in some way. And so if we were to invite in more of those feminine energies that we talked about, that's more about like the connection, more about the relationship. And so the divine feminine approach is actually seeing that the more that we can create real relationships, even with people, it's real human beings like on the other side of your posts, on the other side of Facebook. And we do get to create real interactions and real relationships, and show up and be of service to them in the same way, and allow the sale to be something that almost like unfolds naturally. It's not this one-time event. That I call it inviting people into your business universe, where they get to experience you, and there might be all of these fun, free activities and experiences. And if they want to go deeper, it's like, by all means, like, come along, let's do this. And allowing it to be something where there's a lot of choice, there's a lot of fun, and it's very much an invitation. It's not a sale, right? Like, where it's like trying to convince someone or manipulate the other person into doing what you want to do, but really flipping the perspective to see that, hey, like, you're really withholding choice from them if you don't allow them to see all the magic that you have to offer. So just trying that one on. I think everything is so much just about perspective and how you see things, and how much the way that we feel really informs how we show up as leaders in our business. So that is a really big one. Let's look at what kind of drives choices, what might drive even choices in terms of like marketing or where you show up. One that I hear a lot is like, well, what works? Like, where should I be? Like, what is the platform right now? Should I do video? Should I be on LinkedIn or Instagram? And oftentimes I'll just ask people, well, what do you think would be fun? What would you enjoy doing that you're going to show up consistently to do? And it's almost that it's held that there's a right answer. I think that, like, looking at things that are like very extremely masculine, that there is a right way, there is a way to be, and it's very well defined. And the more balanced side of it is that we can really be successful anywhere. We can create from anything. I feel like the feminine energy has a lot of that creation energy, and I do totally believe that with whatever you are creating, the energy that you put behind it, the heart energy that you put behind it, people can so feel that love and that excitement, whether they are consciously aware of it or not. I do believe that it can be felt. And I really do see that business becomes a lot more fun. It becomes something that we get to do, something that we enjoy showing up for when we lead from that place of joy and excitement, instead of making it be this sort of a mechanical process or this kind of systemic process that we have to go in and be really calculated about. So that's another one that I wanted to invite you to look at. And then lastly, the third place that I wanted to look at with all of you, I think strategy in business is a thing that we connect. And it's never, never, never about just like throwing it out the window. I'm not just saying like, let's just do a card reading and like, we're just going to see what your cards say and just build your strategy. It is finding the balance. Although I do love cards. I do love cards. And I think that those are a great tool for accessing intuition. But I think that at times strategy can become disempowered. It can come from the place that I don't know enough, that I have to go seek something outside of myself to go find the answer, rather than what I see the more empowered belief being is like everything is like co-creation, that we get to bring all of this inspiration in. It might spark a different idea that we put our own energy and flavor to, and we make it our own. And that you can really, from your place of intuition, create a strategy. You can create that structure that then you can kind of bring all your creativity into, rather than feeling like it starts outside of you and then you try to fit yourself within that box. Because I know that most of us, when we left corporate or left whatever job you didn't enjoy, or maybe that's just me, it really became uncomfortable to try to fit yourself into somebody else's structure. And that's what ends up happening oftentimes when we just seek outside ourselves to find the right strategy or the right thing that we think works. So in terms of intuition, it does involve inviting your emotions to the table. That's our guidance system. I feel like you guys of all people completely get this, but that really shows us what's feeling aligned for us, what isn't for us. I love using tarot cards and finding those parts of myself that I might be unconscious to, because I totally see that whenever there's something that I'm completely missing or not seeing, I'll pull a card at random, and the exact perfect thing that I need to hear in that moment always shows up every time. And I really would just say, for anybody that is feeling a little too overly strategized right now, or feeling a little bit like there's not enough of them, is to take a step back. Sometimes I feel like I need to start from a clean slate, and that people need to just like pretend, not that you're going to scrap everything, but just to start fresh and just be like, if I were to create this entire approach where it's about me, that it's about what I enjoy doing and what I know I'm really good at, and I'm creating all of these strengths in here, how might I do this differently? What might look differently if I were to just leverage what I already have within me to make it successful? And so I feel that that is everything that I wanted to share with you today, but I hope that everybody here might be finding or kind of getting curious about what parts of themselves they might want to bring into more balance, or what parts they might have given power away to someone else. And just really enjoyed being here and getting to share this, and even enjoyed putting this together so that I could get curious about everyone's beliefs here. So thank you, everybody.
Ashley, thank you so much. I love the energy that you bring and the excitement. Can't you guys all feel this excitement about just looking at this through a different set of eyes? And we do still have some time here. We have about 10 minutes left. We can have a little discussion about this. If anyone has some questions or some ideas, or wants to kind of just add a comment to one of these three topics that Ashley just covered, would love to just keep that conversation going. Let's take advantage of this space that we have together to converse about this.
I kind of wanted to chime in about Ashley, just because I came from a world where my husband's a marketer. So, he has like all these strategies. And so I definitely got really caught in my head as far as like, do I do this? Do I do that? And it's like, I had all of that available, but I do feel like it's deeper. And that's why I love diving into your content, Ashley, just because there is like a property of this that's just like intuitive, that's more in flow. It's more about like what you said, inviting people into your universe and just making it fun again. So I think, this is a very, very important part of business. And it's definitely something that, more of us women need to tap into.
Thanks, Marisa. I appreciate that.
Ashley, I'd love to say that somebody else talking, that I loved everything you said and the energy. And I felt within myself that just the topic of marketing or business structuring, like so much resentment would come up within me. I think it's because of that, giving away power to, like, in this job, they say I have to do it this way, and I have to, who I am is not okay, and I have to show up the way that they're demanding. And so this is the topic. I noticed there's a lot of resentment in place. I could take my power back. And then I have my question for you is I'm wondering when people get more in tune with their intuition and bring things into more balance and follow how they're built and what's leading them and leading their heart, do you find that they almost fully just fall into a structure, or there's like a marriage between like 70% staying connected to what their heart is leading and then 30% setting little goals and like kind of guiding your steps along?
Yeah, that's a good question, Emily. I feel like everyone has their own unique balance of what feels right for them. So I think that oftentimes there are some that want to just be very free flowing, and they might have a lot of time in their day and they can kind of show up and post and do things. And maybe if they don't have a really scheduled calendar, that it totally works. I know I'm in this other boat as well, where I kind of need a balance, where I need some structure so that, and then I flow within, I flow within that, because otherwise it can almost feel, if it's too flowy, that you might get a little bit of that anxiousness coming in if you feel like you're not able to get like the things done that are moving the business forward. So I think that the exact percentage is totally different by the person. But I think all of us, when we mix in more of that intuition part, more of those parts of ourselves, that it tends to feel like just more fun, more ease, and more like we're just showing up and being us and being paid for it, essentially. Did that answer your question, Emily? Good. Thank you.
I have a question. Hi, I love your spirit, by the way. It's very energetic. How do you balance strategy in terms of knowing what works and you're, like you said, looking at your choices of having it be fun.
Yeah.
For example, if somebody hates to write, they probably don't want to write a blog. Don't know if that's a great example, but the point is, there's, and especially going into this, the digital age and with COVID, I mean, we all had to pivot, and there's only X amount of ways to get to potential clients. So I truly believe from the seat that, go by intuition. I mean, I definitely resonate with your lens, but I'm curious to ask how you marry that to proven strategies that are working now because of the situation we're in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think I definitely tend to work with the people that are delivering more virtually. So somebody that might be like an in-person practice, or they like sell art. I wouldn't be as much that individual. But what I am seeing is that a lot of business is doing something long enough to actually see the results, because I think so often people don't stick with it long enough. They'll like try it for a month and then they're like, no, it doesn't work. What else is there? Or they're choosing based on what feels comfortable. And I totally know that whenever we're stepping into something new, especially with business, there is that level of discomfort that pops up. And so there's that piece of it. And I think the other part of it is like, I very much hold playfulness and trial and error, because oftentimes it's sort of like, I need to know, this is a proven thing. I saw the Facebook ad and they showed me the math that if I do this funnel and I invest this amount, then and like our minds like love it. It loves it so much. But at the same time, why does everyone get scattered results? So I do think that the way that we hold failure is really important to look at when it comes to business, because what I see with my clients is the more things that they're willing to try from a place of like lightness and let's see if this works. Those are the people that are finding the most success of what works for their unique skills, what works for their unique energy. I have certain things that I know work really well for me that people come to me for, and they're just like, teach me about Upwork, like teach me about, Facebook groups and posting. But at the same time, I never want them to just do what I do because I'm the one that taught them, and that the teacher or the mentor is just the person that we mimic, right? And we copy all the things, and then we're successful. Because I do think that we do need to find what works for us. And I haven't necessarily found any proven system. And as much as we see that on Facebook over and over, we just want the proven system. I don't think that it works like that. I think that we love the call of it, and we love the certainty of it, but embracing that sense of uncertainty and just really stepping in and saying, I'm going to see how this feels. I'm going to see what my results are. I'm going to be committed to it. And no matter what, knowing that we're moving forward, we're learning something about ourselves, we're learning something about the process, and that every single choice moves us forward. If we're seeing it that way, that would be my perspective on it. I think that I definitely have my own perspectives on what might work well, what doesn't work so well. And I might share that perspective, but then it's always like really looking and asking them certain questions to get their own intuition, their own wisdom that they've acquired over the years to actually be a part of the process as well. Does that answer what you were looking for, Christine?
Mhm. Yeah, no, it does. Thank you. What comes to mind is what is it? If you're not winning, you're learning instead of losing, just
Yeah,
what you're saying,
totally.
like
Yes.
the playfulness of the trial and error. And I do find that every time I look back, when there's been like a big aha or a success, there's always been discomfort before it. But when I'm
Mm-hmm.
in the discomfort, we all try to feel it and hopefully move through it. But sometimes you don't realize it till after it's done. And so I try to remind myself that. So when you had said look at it from playfulness, I like it. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think there's certain things like that people come to you for in business, and they just want to know like the way. And so I have like my Upwork course that is like, this is the way that has worked for me, but I always am really careful to not be like, this is the way that's going to work for everybody. And this is why, because I think that that can become really frustrating in business, of just like trying to seek all of these different like methods over and over again and feeling like they don't work, and all of the things that happen inside of us to be like, well, why is it not working for me when it's worked for all these people? And so I know it's not as like sexy sounding to be like, yeah, like I have the magic formula. I don't really think that there is one. So there's that.
Ashley, what would you say to a business owner who just has so many things flooding at them that need to be done? And how do you help your clients prioritize the order of things, which ordering can be such a masculine thing, not getting stuck in that and then moving into the flow, even when you're leaving a whole bunch of other things behind?
Yeah.
I don't know if that question makes sense, but that was what was coming to mind to kind of bring into this conversation too.
Yeah, I think first with that client, I would get like really curious about what was going on within them, what it felt like to have all of that mess being there, and or that the tasks being there, because I think that people might feel a different way about different things, or there might be something behind, there might be like an avoidance behind it. And so I do ask just a lot of questions and let that wisdom emerge from them. And what I would see is like really do a little bit of experimentation around ways that it might be fun, ways that they might outsource it, and just find sort of like, okay, well, if you're existing in this space, like what got you here? Like, how are all these things here? Do they all need to be here? Are there some things that are here that aren't even moving you towards your goal, that you just made up a story about that you need to do, and some of them could go away? So I think I would just really ask a lot of questions to kind of get them to the place where they're clear about what can go, like maybe what's most important, and find a way. I feel like everything for me, I feel like it's such a personalized thing of just finding a way to get them to the place of feeling better about it, or at least moving towards a place of feeling like they have a sense of being organized if that's what they're wanting.
Thank you for spending some of your time today with us at Sage Holistic Health and Wellness Center. If you like what we're all about, please consider supporting our nonprofit organization by making a tax-deductible donation. To do this, you can go to our website at www.sagewellnessctr.org and click on Donate in the upper right-hand corner. We look forward to spending some time again with you real soon. Take good care.